Good morning and welcome to the Us Review. Today is Season 3, Episode 3, entitled Life's Encounters Always Work Out. This topic comes straight from Chapter 10 in my new novel entitled He Couldn't See What I Saw, available now at Amazon and AskCarlaDL.com. I am your host, Dr. Carla Davis Luster, also known as Ask Carla. Here in this program, I will discuss controversial relationship topics, what I always do, highlighting the male and the female perspectives when necessary. To give a brief recap of last week's episode, it was Season 3, Episode 2. I talked about love because it was Valentine's Day weekend, and Valentine's and love was all in the air. I spoke about ways to tell if you are possibly in love. If you would like to watch the episode, it's housed on my YouTube page, Ask Carla. Just simply type in the search bar, Carla Davis Luster, and you should find me. Remember, Carla is with a K. I always say that. People spell it with a C, but it is with a K. You won't find me if you type in the search bar and put a C. So Carla's with a K. If you are just tuning in, this is the Us Review. I'm your host, Dr. Carla Davis Luster. And this is Season 3, Episode 3, entitled Life's Encounters Always Work Out. For legal purposes, and to add this disclaimer, I do want to make clear that any of the topics that I talk about is merely an opinion. Please note that the information discussed on the Us Review is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional, financial, and legal advice. I do recommend consulting a licensed advisor in the area of concern if you're having an issue in some type of an area. Now, let's move on this morning. Today, my preface is going to be taken from my novel that you know, He Couldn't See What I Saw, Chapter 10, entitled Life's Encounters Always Work Out. If you have already purchased my novel, I'm going to start on page 114, paragraph 1, starting at sentence 1. But before I move forward and do that, I always like to show you my novel. So let me start with the first one, which is The Woman Tells, that everyone knows. This was the first one that kicked off the entire series. It introduced the characters. There are 4 characters that I mention every week. The husband, the wife, the mistress, and the paramour. But this book is the first one in the series, The Woman Tells. So I'll put that back. I'm trying to be careful because I have a tendency of knocking things over, right? The second one in the series is called I'm Not a Homewrecker, Opportunist Maybe. And this one, in the second series, I start to get into introducing the characters. They have their own novel, and you get to learn about their background. So this one is about the mistress, and it's called I'm Not a Homewrecker, Opportunist Maybe. So if you want to go in order, it's The Woman Tells first, and then you move to this one. Last but not least, that my new release is about the paramour, once again French term for male mistress. It's entitled He Couldn't See What I Saw. So you got to get out there and get it. If you've been following the series, this is the next one in the series, and you have to go get it. So this is the front, this is the back. Okay. And for fun, I did, for relationship, I talk about a lot of relationship things on here. A lot of my episodes and different seasons are housed on YouTube, so you can go watch the first season, the second season. And this is called the Relationship Color Palette, where I take colors and I kind of intertwine personalities with it. It's kind of a fun guide. It's called the Relationship Color Palette Guide, Assessment Guide. And you and your partner, you would have so much fun going through this. You can do it as a game night. You can do it, with friends or whatever else. It just, the purpose of this is to help to strike up communication and conversation around how to, interact with each other. So very good thing. So the Relationship Color Palette Assessment Guide. With that said, I'm going to move on to my preface today, which, like I said, is going to be coming from page 114, paragraph 1, sentence 1. So let's get there. I always read a little bit. I don't try to give everything away. And this says, while sitting here reminiscing and still waiting on the results, I decided to look over some paperwork. Eventually, I received the call. It turned out that the kid was not mine. Juicy. I had to light a cigar after that news. Man, did I slip past that catastrophe. Get your copy, get your copy. He couldn't see what I saw. So, once again, if you are just tuning in, this is the Us Review. I am your host, Dr. Carla Davis Luster. Today is Season 3, Episode 3, entitled, Life's Encounters Always Work Out. Okay, so let's move into that. What am I talking about? Life sometimes can take you on a roller coaster ride with all of its endeavors. We always know, all of us know that things happen. That's something that, everyone goes through. Maybe you are going through possibly a divorce, a breakup. Maybe you are an entrepreneur and you are struggling to build your brand. I know that firsthand from, the various brands that I've worked in, even building brands when I was in corporate. I know that firsthand. Or maybe you're dealing with possibly some type of an illness or some type of adversity that has you, all locked up into a frenzy. However, I want you to remember, because the situation does not work out, or the plan you put in place does not work out the way you actually envisioned it, because we put these things out there, we start stuff, we have a whole big plan, and sometimes things don't work out. We have a picture of what we think things should look like, and sometimes they don't always work out that way. Today we're talking about the life encounters, when something don't work out your way. What is it that you're going to do? You have to keep going and figure it out. Let me say this, only God knows how many things that I have had not to go as I have planned. Different businesses, different things. Now, I've had a lot of them to go right, that to go really right, However, you just got to keep trying and trying and trying. But, through all of that adversity that I mentioned, what I did is I mustered up enough energy to keep going. I am speaking once again from firsthand experience. It's not something that I'm just talking off, the side of my head or whatever, but it is from firsthand experience. When things don't go your way, it's important to first recognize, here's some of the things you need to do. You have to recognize how you feel about the situation, first of all, and accept the fact that you cannot control or change some things, and in the interim, you must find a coping mechanism that help you to, come to grips with what you are dealing with. You gotta find something that'll help you get through it, that'll kind of take your mind off of it. So let me ask you this. What are some ways that you can think of, right now to get your mind right? Well, let me give you some ways that can actually occupy your time and your mind. Let me say this. Some people throw themselves into work. I've seen that, I've talked to friends. I've had some situations, and it doesn't always have to necessarily be the situation that you're going to your business, or it doesn't even necessarily have to be a relationship. It could be something you're going through with your children, something you're going through with a family member is sick. I found myself definitely throwing myself into work with various situations to kind of take my mind off of it. Some people exercise, they throw themselves into exercise and they just go away every day. They may be in the gym for 4 hours, but exercise is a coping mechanism. Some folks meditate. I have several friends that meditate, which is great. They get up in the morning and they're just, like silence, and they're doing things to help their mind, once again, get throughout the day. And it's not necessarily that you got to do these things because you're going through something. It could just be something that, that you adopt into your everyday life to just help you, cope with something that might come your way, or just to help you be that calm person so you can actually get through the day. Some people decide to see a professional therapist or even a psychologist. And here's the big one. Some people may even go to church for prayer to help manage their emotions constructively and, to help them spiritually, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. It's your choice. And one more thing that I'll throw out there, some people, grab a hobby, they start golfing, or maybe they start, well, me, my hobby is shopping, I haven't done as much the last couple of years or whatever else, but I like to read. I love movies, so you have to grab something that is going to help you to cope. But with all of that said, today, what we want to do, let's talk about some steps that you can take to help you get through whatever situation you are struggling with, be it whatever. And that's what we're talking about today. Because keep in mind, life behaviors are going to work out one way or another, but it's up to you to try to scribe to the best of your ability that helps you or help your situation to work out in your favor. So let's start. I'm going to go through about 6 steps, give you 6 pointers or whatever. And I always tell everyone that whatever I say on the show, you can go research it, you can look it up for yourself, and then there's always much more information that's out there around the topics that I talk about. So don't just stop here. If you want to know more, just, take the opportunity to go research it yourself. So let's talk about step 1. Step 1, what you have to do, you have to recognize, acknowledge, and accept how you feel. Come to grips with what you're feeling. Don't suppress it or hide it or lie to yourself about the way that you feel, because keep in mind, frustration and disappointment it happens all the time to everyone. I'm sure, with all of the things that's going on now, it's a lot going on. You got people being fired by the thousands. You've got programs being canceled, medical situations happening and everything like that. So, this is the time that you have to find something to help you be in that happy place. And I'm going to just say this. I'm sure at some point Trump, is disappointed. I know he was disappointed when he lost, the election several years ago, because he's coming back with a vengeance. So even him, he's, with his, rich life, and you got Elon Musk or whatever else, and he's, really rich or whatever else. I'm sure at some point or sometimes they run into disappointments as well. So keep that in mind. It's a part of life. It's a part of life. The thing of it is, you can't let it overwhelm you. You have to find something in some way to help you cope. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2, you need to take a step back. Once you come to grips with your feelings, you need to take that step back, take a breather, think about everything, calm down, so that you will not act on impulse. That you're upset, whatever else, you're just jumping out there, you're doing things or whatever. You need to make sure that you take a step back, take a breather, and try to think about everything and put it into perspective. Try to analyze it. I'm going into step 3 now. Analyze it. Analyze what went wrong. What was your accountability in the situation, or what you could do better, or what you can do better should the situation happen again. You don't want to continue to dwell on the negative. When you assess it, maybe some negative things happened or whatever else, you don't want to dwell on that. You want to always think positive thoughts, try to, look for the good. And at the end of the day, you need to chalk it up to a learning experience and try to learn from it so it won't happen to you again. Step 4, you need to focus on how you want to move forward. Once you assess it, you've analyzed it, you know what went wrong, you're taking accountability, you want to say, okay, so I want to move forward and I want to move like this. You got to do some self-care. Like I mentioned, whatever that'll get you in a happy place. I like movies, I like shopping, and I know a lot of women do. Probably a lot of people do. If exercise is your thing, if reading is your thing, and once again, I promise you, if you're in a bad place and you read these novels, this series here, it's going to get you in a good place. It's going to put you in a totally different mood, because it is definitely entertaining. It's definitely bringing out some pointers that, I think is a topic that people, it's taboo. People shove it up under the rug, but needless to say, it is a great read. It's very entertaining and you will like it. So, do some self-care while continuing to move forward. Those are things that you might need to do to help you get to that place. Let's talk about step 5. You might want to seek help from maybe a trusted friend. a family member, and you may even feel that it's serious enough that you need to see a therapist or a counselor to process your emotions and to help gain a reasonable perspective around everything that happened, So, I mean, and those of you saying that, I've heard people say, well, I don't have money for a counselor, I don't have money for a therapist, and I might need to, do that. However, if you have medical or whatever, and I think that there are some free programs out there, most medical plans do allow for counseling and therapy and different things like that. It may kind of scrutinize what exactly are you going for, whatever, but I would look into that if that's something that you want to do, so because maybe you may not have to pay for it. Sometimes when you go see these type of people, they can help you look at it in a different way. Sometimes we're so caught up and we're so into the situation, we can't see beyond what we're seeing. Sometimes there are angles we don't see because we are, once again, like I say, we're too caught up. I'm sure many, if you may be wondering, what is the difference? Because I mentioned possibly go see a therapist or go see a counselor. Many of you may be wondering what is the difference. Okay, so let me try to explain what the difference is. A therapist usually focuses on providing psychotherapy that involves treating mental health disorders and emotional distress. They use tactics, tactics that talk through, it's like a talk through therapy type thing, and they use it for anxiety, depression, trauma, whatever you're going to. It's some type of cognitive behavioral therapy that they use, and they use a lot of other techniques. As far as their credentials, they usually hold a master's degree in a mental health field, or a degree in some type of a marriage and family therapy type of situation. Okay, now, on the other hand, what is a counselor? Because they may, they're talking through and doing some things too. A counselor definitely holds a master's degree in similar areas as a therapist. However, they usually focus on more life coaching and career coaching and relationship counseling. I've seen it a lot on when I watch some of the reality TV shows. Yes, I do watch them sometimes. They can be very entertaining. You see life coaches coming out to the house and talking to the entire family. But I want to say this is not just for wealthy people or people on TV or whatever else. It's for, life coaches, career coaches, relationship counseling. That is something that any and everyone can use. However, some people are skeptical about doing that. So if that is the case, I do recommend that you grab a family member, or a trusted friend. And all of these people need to be trusted, because their family is not it's not that they're going, make sure they're trusted is what I'm saying. Because they're family member don't mean that they can't burn you. If it's something that you want to be kept private or whatever else, just make sure you know that person and your things are going to be safeguarded, okay? So let's go to step 6. This is the last one that I'll talk about, that I'll mention. Out of all of that, you've analyzed it, you've sat back, you've kind of gone through your feelings. You may have gone to see people, that you need to talk to, therapist, counselor, talking to a friend, you're upset, and you're trying to move to that happy place. At the end of the day, you need to learn from the experience and adapt a better approach for the future should the situation happen again. I want to say this. Sometimes, something can happen to us. It happened to us the first time. It may even happen to us a second time. However, if it continues to happen and we keep falling into that same situation, same rut or whatever else, that's called insanity. You keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Or you keep, just running into the wall. At some point, it could possibly, you need to take accountability that you need to do something different. You need to change your ways or whatever else. That is something that you might want to look at. So that's the 6th step. You want to learn from the experience, whatever happens. Here are, I always give you some statistics. Here are a few statistics. Starting with 23.1% of Americans experience mental health issues each year. And some of it is pertaining to their situation. It could be pertaining to whatever it is, but it's saying 23.1% of all Americans experience issues each year. Now, 1 out of 4 adults, it says, this is another statistic, deal with life issues. They deal with life issues, and it's centered around mental health. Okay. This is something that's really serious, and it's something that, is being well talked about in America. You can't cope with life, you can't deal with it. It could be due to a mental illness, but this is a statistic that I'm throwing out to you. Another statistic is that 36.2% of adults between the ages of 18 and 25 has the highest prevalence of mental illness. That is very concerning, because it's telling us that our young people between 18 and 25 are dealing with a lot of stuff. It could be that, they're dealing with school things. They're dealing with possibly, relationship. They're in relationships too. They're dealing with possibly they've got out of school, can't find a job, or they can't find a job. We see all of these, different things that are happening. Some of it could be due to mental illness, and it's up to us as parents, as mentors, as leaders, as guardians, or whatever else. If we know some young person or whatever else, or we have children, whatever, that we're paying attention and not just shoving it under the rug, that we're trying to do something to really help them get to a good place. Here's another statistic. Women are said to more likely report mental illness rather than men. So we're more likely or more apt to report a mental illness situation other than a man. I think it depends on the person, the situation or whatever else, but that is a statistic that I wanted to tell you. Last but not least, 5% of Americans have thought of suicide. That is really crazy, due to going through some type of a life situation. Once again, today is season 3, episode 3, and we're talking about life encounters will work out. But we want to always make sure that we try to help them to, our situation work out in our favor, or to the best that it can be. Or if something does not work out for us, what are we doing about it? At the end of the day, things happen. Keep that in mind. The statistic that I just shared regarding the age range of 18 to 25 being the highest in mental health illness is very, very, very concerning to me. And I wanted to give that to you today so that we can, keep watch, take a look at that. We have to pay attention and be open to doing whatever it takes to help our family, a friend, or simply someone we may know that is struggling. It may not be as serious as mental illness, suicide, or a total breakdown, but when someone can't cope with life, that's not good. And if we are in a position or, to help someone, we need to do that. However, remember that things, once again, will happen, and things will not always go the way that we expect them to go. Hopefully, we are strong enough to rise above whatever it is bogging us down and move forward. We have some type of a plan, or we're strong enough to move forward. Or if we're not, we have some type of surrounding, that village or whatever around us that can help us to do that. And if we can't, or someone in our sights can't, when we're seeing this, hopefully we at least will take the time to point them in the direction where they can get help, if we're not the one that feel like we can help them. As that gracious neighbor, that that person that we see at church, or just being a friend, a family member, we can help others just by showing acts of kindness. And that is one of the love languages, one of the 5 love languages that has been introduced to everyone. I always talk about your love language is what your love language is, or what you choose it to be. One of mine, I think I go beyond the 5. I like to cook, and cooking may be considered up under one of them, acts of kindness. I don't know what that is, but I just say that that's one of mine. And I'm hoping that everyone develop, that don't have it. Hopefully we have it. Acts of kindness, because there's a lot going on. People are frustrated. People are going through. People are thinking of suicide. It's time for us as a neighbor to step up and be that good person. Needless to say, once again, life encounters will always work out one way or another. But we always pray, we want to always pray for the best. This is the Us Review. Today is season 3, episode 3. Life's encounters will always work out. I am your host, Dr. Carla Davis Luster. You can follow me across the platforms at Ask Carla. You can purchase my novels at Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, AskCarlaDL.com, and at the Volumes Bookstore at 900 North Michigan Avenue on the 5th floor. I will be back on March 20th with Season 3, Episode 4. That will be the last episode of the season. I'm only doing 4 for this season. I like to do the seasons in conjunction with my books, and this has been in conjunction with He Couldn't See What I Saw. And however, I am still excited about it. He couldn't see what I saw. My book signing, I'll mention this to you, is on Saturday, March 8th. 4 to 7 p.m. There's no admission, free hors d'oeuvres, free non-alcoholic beverages. I will have a cashless bookstore, so if you do not have my novels, you'll be able to go right over and get everything that I sell, including the new KKZT collection of t-shirts. I have 3. You'll be able to get those, and they're very cool. They got the bling on it, and stuff like that. And one of them is you asked what I was going to be, and I became me. That's a pretty popular one. If you have to, I'm going to say, if you have to have that alcoholic beverage, I will have a cashless bar where you can purchase and get, a drink if you would like it. We will have a signature drink there entitled Ask Carla. So watch my website or social media for more details, because I will continue to be dropping different things regarding the event over the next week. Once again, I'm Dr. Carla Davis Luster. I really, I gotta say this, enjoy my time talking to you about different subjects or topics or whatever else. Thank you for those who DM me and ask questions or whatever else. I think it's wonderful. I thank you for tuning in. I look forward to chatting again with you on March 20th. So I have to say goodbye, be safe, and take care. Bye-bye.